And welcome back, everyone, to GSA. We've got some more Celeste action for you. This time, two matches between Flad and blackpear. I am Electric. Here with me is Troy of Athens. How are you doing before this race? And we've got some pretty exciting news that Flad shared in chat just beforehand.
Yeah, there's a lot of some really cool things to see. He was mentioning it in the Twitch chat as well, along with the Discord chat, so people know it in the chat as well, it seems. But yeah, he got a 27.55 on his. But the thing that people didn't realize was, and I just clarified that honestly, was that was his warm up for this race.
Yep.
He got a 20. He was able to pull out a sub 28, his first ever sub 28 time on a warm up.
Yep. Unfortunately unrecorded, but we are recording these runs, and if that's what his warm-up looked like, we might be in to see another 27 mid-race. So pretty well amazing that the playoffs may actually see an Odyssey sub-hour and a 27 in Celeste Any percent world record. Or race record, rather.
Right. And it just makes like some crazy stuff, like the fact that that's happening right now. Like, I know Fladervy is capable of this stuff, but it's like it's always like the matter of just the mental block that is created by these milestones. So the fact that he has now achieved that, whether or not it was unrecorded, it just means that it just like honestly means that he is in it to win it at this point, and like nothing can stop him.
Yep. Let's see, already making some pretty substantial gains over blackpear in the Forsaken City. Nice corner boost there. Go ahead and skip over part of that full screen.
Yeah, sorry. We're going to be saying it a bunch of times because it literally happened less than an hour ago. Flad got a sub 28 in a warm-up run for this very set.
Yeah, for the record.
Unrecorded.
Yeah, and it's a 27.55, so just 2 seconds off of Teach's best time. Not a world record, but that if he does manage to get a 27 in one of these races, that could actually be a world record on our hands. He's certainly capable of it at this point.
Yeah.
And just absolutely going insane right now on blackpear in this Forsaken City. Blackpear isn't doing too bad aside from this screen where he ended up missing that boost up. Just substantial time saves had from just Vlad's more advanced strats at the moment. It's just amazingly fluid movement.
Yeah, full 5 seconds of difference there. Going to be managing to get I believe it was just a 102, 103 there. I have seen him getting better times. 101s are pretty capable of happening, and it definitely is something I've seen in these runs. I don't necessarily from Vlad, but I've seen it happen in GSA at least.
He's seen it with his own eyes.
I have. I've seen it. I've seen a lot of things with my own eyes in this competition because I've seen every race essentially.
Yeah, keeping that stat sheet up to date. Shout out to Troy for that. Really, really detailed. I'm actually looking at blackpear's page in it right now. A full looks like 2.5 minutes off of Vlad's average time in these races. So definitely has an uphill battle, but it's certainly not like a vertical, smooth slate wall. Vlad could have some pretty significant mistakes, especially going into these later levels, especially if he's really got that like 27 race PB on his line. So we could see blackpear just win with the pure consistency game, but not getting off to a super snug start, unfortunately, as Vlad really not leaving any room for error. Also, hello, Senior Kittens, shouting out to the commentators booth.
I believe that is just Senor Kittens. There is no N-gay on that N.
Hey, does Twitch actually support like the full character accent set? Because I just kind of
don't know. I don't know.
And yes, the Celeste Any percent semifinals and grand finals will be live at Pace to answer that question, along with our 70-star and SMO Any percent semi and grand finals.
Yep. And yeah, Vlad at this point, I think he is just like oh, I just got a sub 28. Well, now I need to actually record a sub 28.
Yeah, he's gonna take advantage of these of the fact that we're recording this race. Just insane first 2 stages, but you know, moving into resort, this is where things can get kind of dicey, especially when you're trying to go for those really good times that obviously you don't want to have deaths in. And Senor confirming Twitch does not give accents on usernames, so you know, even though the accent is not there visually, it's there in our hearts.
When's FFZ gonna give us
Any
accents
emotes
on
again?
our usernames? Yeah. No, any emotes, but like FFZ gonna give us like some good, or better, BTTV gonna be giving us some accents on our usernames. We need those.
You know, maybe that's why it got taken down today, was Dan going ahead and adding accents on usernames. Who knows?
Right.
All I know is I can't use Pog in anyone's chats, and I'm a little bit upset. Vlad just killing resort at the moment.
Still working for me. I just used an FFC emote. Yeah, look at that. See, they're being done. I see your Pog.
Oh, for whatever reason they're not working for me. Well, rip. Vlad making his way down in the laundry section of the huge mess making his way into the huge mess.
Yeah, people saying it's not working for me. Yeah, people saying in chat it's not working for me. I'm like, that's not my problem.
Just never refresh. If you have those Pogs in chat, never refresh.
Yep.
You know, Dan must be taking up all of his bandwidth trying to get another Yoshi's Story PB or something. Who knows?
Who knows?
It's a really interesting little portfolio, as blackpear having a couple of issues getting that jump there, and as Vlad making his way handily through this stage. If you're not familiar with Dan Salvato, he's the head guy that is responsible for Frankerface Z, and also the developer of Doki Doki Literature Club. So kind of an interesting little set of projects he has under his belt, and a just absolutely insane Yoshi's Story runner. I think he has just about all of the world records for it. And his any percent English record was 2 years ago, and people are just now catching up. Ooh, Vlad taking his first death unintentionally on that dust bunny there. And blackpear gonna be making that handily, saving a couple of seconds in that room. Honestly, a fast death for Vlad, but still a death nonetheless. You know, maybe that does take a little bit of tension off of him, though. You know, maybe thinking, okay, I've made my first mistake of the run. You know, I've kind of broken that seal. Everything's this is just gonna be a race run now. But still on some pretty decent pace coming up to Demo Dash here shortly. Do you think he's going to go for the checkpoint, or do you think he's going to go for that time save and just go ahead and skip over it?
I think he's not going for it. He is.
First try, no checkpoint, just completely going it. Beautiful.
Gets checkpoint list, but is not able to get the corner boost strategy on the next screen, and is going to be failing on the test strat there.
Still a really, really nice, fast first try Demo Dash.
Yeah, it's great to see. It's been great. It's always great to see things like that, but then once you get into it, you're like, that's always the thing I'm looking for. I kind of save my reactions almost, because then I'm just like, are they gonna get the corner boost in the next screen? Because it's such an important part of that trick in general. Is just getting a demo dash and then immediately getting a corner boost in the next screen transition, so that you can be set up for the good cycle there.
Yep, and now Vlad gonna be making his way just very nice and clean through the Oshiro fight.
Yeah, gonna be looking to be getting a 4-1X here. Just barely squeaking it out, getting a 4-18.
nice time.
Yeah, 7:43 on that file timer. That is crazy fast.
Just wild.
We've seen faster, but that's still very fast.
Yeah, for the record, Flad's average is a 427 on resort, so saving 9 seconds over that average, pretty sweet.
Yeah.
And also, just like going back to blackpear's stats, his resort PB is, or average rather, is a 445. So, and as we saw from Flad, or sorry, blackpear, I didn't exactly see his last time, but was it a 430x or a 420x?
I don't know about the chapter timer, but I just saw the 818. So it's just like, at this point, you know, Fladervy flying away with this first race.
You've just really pulled super far ahead, showing off why he is seen as such a great counterpoint to Tej's dominance over the category and the game as a whole.
Yeah, it's always in my mind that, like, just even before, like, Flad had ever broken any of the world records, I was just like, he's coming.
Yep.
Like, it was just like how people are always like people were trying to figure out who was gonna get sub-hour in Super Mario Odyssey. It was always just like, meanwhile I'm over here like just constantly watching Fladervy like every time he streams, just because I know each and every stream is a possibility of him getting a world record. Like, it doesn't seem like that, and also all his titles are like very depressing because he always like doesn't fully believe himself with his stream titles. Which, by the way, I don't accept. Fladervy, you're a fantastic player. Don't ever for a second think that you're not.
He definitely has the portfolio to really prove. But I guess he's kind of trying the NOP strats. If you say every run sucks, you don't get attached, and thereby you don't get nervous when it's actually a really good run.
Yeah, it's very true, but it's like, it's just like when you are following Fladervy and you just see Fladervy is going live, waste of time. You're just like, okay. Like, that is a legitimate name of his Twitch stream that he frequently uses or something like that. I'm just like, really? Or like, don't watch this. This is like, why am I doing this? Or like things like that. I'm just like, Flad, you're fine.
Yep. Absolutely. And also to answer the earlier question real quick about why the timers aren't on the menu, this game uses in-game timers, and those timers don't appear on the menu. That's also why, like, right now, Flad doesn't have a timer on the screen, because at the end of the chapter, it's just kind of zooming in on the empty camera space up top.
Yeah. It's just because it moves around. If we had some weird AI, I'm sure we could figure it out. Maybe.
Yeah, we could maybe do some convoluted, like, thing with OBS scenes where we just repeatedly change around what little cutout is being zoomed in on, but it'd be a lot of effort, and ultimately the timer is there 99% of the time, so it doesn't exactly make sense.
I'm just gonna tell you now, Bomb. Pog is not a BTTV emote. That's a Frank Face Z emote.
And it might not be enabled in the channel. I'm not exactly sure. It looks like for me, for whatever reason, the channel emotes aren't showing though.
No, they exist. Pog is
okay. I wasn't sure. As Flag goes for a very nice yeet there. Let's see some yeet emotes
that
in
was
chat.
good stuff.
Just
that's good.
Marvelous. Co-commentator silenced by that Italian expression of just good stuff. Yeah, Flad honestly just PP hopping his way right through 5A. Gonna grab this tape nice and oh wow, that pink column skip there.
Yeah,
Lado B disco melodiado. I don't know how in the world that word is supposed to be pronounced. I'm sorry.
What the heck was that?
It was what it said on his screen with the B-side being claimed in. I said right after that is not how it's pronounced, okay? Don't judge me.
Electric doing his best attempt at Portuguese.
Just failing dramatic. It is Portuguese? Okay, I wasn't sure.
Yeah,
I didn't want to, like...
Fladervy comes from the beautiful country of Brazil. So, yeah, he to rep that, he always has his in-game on Portuguese.
Noted.
That was the saddest way I could say Portuguese right there. It
is not how it's pronounced, but as a Brazilian, I recognize your efforts. Well, thank you. I will try to get it right next time. Oh, Vlad missing Bub's drop. That's really unfortunate.
That was his second missed Bub's drop, actually. Which is why I said Portuguese in such a disappointed fashion, because he failed it just as I was trying to say the word Portuguese.
I was just like, quite working out for him.
I was just like disappointed.
Yeah, Spear, I'm sorry. I didn't know if Brazil's national language was Spanish or Portuguese, or if there was actually like a Brazilian language. Okay.
It's Portuguese.
The more you know. See, I'm trying to learn more. I'm just unfortunately American. Like.
So am I.
Well, no, I don't mean unfortunately is like I'm ashamed of it. I just mean like, yeah, I just don't know some of these things, and I forget that I don't know them. Like I don't know what the capital of Zimbabwe is.
Does anyone?
I mean Zimbabweans, I would hope.
Probably Zimbabweans, yeah.
And blackpear, the screens look pretty synced, but that is obviously deceiving. About 40 seconds behind. I have never seen Fast and Furious 5 because I actually have taste in films. Sorry. Although I will say Fast and Furious is a better set of action movies than Transformers.
Well, that's a pretty low bar.
Yeah, I mean, honestly. I bet he doesn't realize Dubai isn't in India. Well, duh, because Dubai's a country. I know that is not a thing, just in case that accent didn't convey that. And Spirit confirming the capital of Zimbabwe is Harare. The more you know. Again, may as well just have like the Animaniacs world countries thing playing in the corner of the screen the whole time.
That they explain capitals in that song?
Well, at least they explain countries. I mean, you could then say I don't know that capital, and then go look it up. Vlad repping the really nice 5B so far, though.
Yeah, you know, there's I think there's 5 to 10 countries that have been created and or no longer exist since that song came out. So.
Yeah, I mean, true, yeah.
Yeah, at this point, Fladervy is just kind of sad because he knows that it is not really possible to show any sort of sub 28 time right now, considering he just failed Bub's drop.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate that Bub's drop both saves so much time, but is so brutal whenever you end up missing it. Also, UAE stands for the United Arab Emirates. I do know things.
Nice.
See, commentator, at least slightly worldly, just not entirely aware that Brazilian is not a language.
Nope. It is a nationality. Or a type of wax.
True. But a nice leg skip from both of these guys to go ahead and kick off the reflection chapter. You know, with blackpear at this 40-second deficit, I do kind of like the screen sync that we have. Even though the timers are woefully off, certainly nice to see a closer race than is in reality.
Right.
And it's a bit easier, when your mind isn't having to focus on two drastically different screens at once. You know, you're seeing the players kind of progress through the screens at mostly a one after the other type pace. How far ahead is Vlad? Vlad's probably about a minute ahead, I would say. Maybe a little bit more. But...
yeah, at least a minute.
You wonder if Vlad is one of those. I don't think that. I don't know the paths super well, so I think it's probably a safe bet to say he's not going for 6B right now for the memes. But Would be interesting to see if he
We're
does.
way past that.
Yeah. That's like right at the, like just a few screens after the lake skip, right?
Yeah, you know that giant vertical Kevin area?
Yes. Yes.
Screen after that is where you go into the tape room.
Ah, I see. Okay. Ooh,
Yes,
flat
that
seeing a
big-
kind of
that big-
unfortunate death.
That big screen where like then you go over to the right.
Yeah,
and-
yeah. Like you ride
Yeah,
the bear
that big
block all the way over.
open. No, the one before that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. So
Where it's like this big open area with nothing really in it.
yeah,
And
yeah.
you go to the right, and then you kind of just do a wall bounce off the side and a bunch of neutral jumps.
Oh, I see. Okay, yeah. That makes. I remember the area now. Okay.
So yeah, so instead of going right, you go left, and that's where the tape is.
Awesome. Okay. Thanks so much for clarifying that.
And the timers are off because Fladervy took breaks between chapters, along with also, you know, being in menu a bunch of times. Things happen.
Yep. Especially like with those bub drop fails. Excuse me. It does require that like menuing back out. Really, really nice boost there going into this battle and fight.
Yeah, Senior Kittens, we just go by in-game timers. So that's the most basic reason to understand about why timers get out.
Yeah, it's nice because obviously like you don't have to deal with setting a timer yourself and doing your splits, and you can take little short breaks between the chapters. But of course, it is a lot more of a struggle to actually keep them in some sort of sync. Nice battle and progression so far between these guys, though.
Yeah, just standard stuff. Oh, as I say, that black bear actually failing a little bit on there. Just a little bit of a thing. Not, you know, I'm missing some reverse extended hyper use going on there.
Yeah, and blackpear seeing that first text box at about 20 minutes, whereas it passed on Vlad's screen before 19. I believe it said on Vlad's screen something like "Fiz un favor a dulce" or something like that.
You're trying so hard, and you honestly should stop.
Okay, okay.
Because I'm pretty sure that's not a soft C.
See, I'm not even sure what it is you're criticizing, so that just shows how little I apparently understand how the language is pronounced.
There's a lot of things going on in that language. I don't know too much about it, but I know Spanish, and Portuguese is different from Spanish. Pretty different, actually. To the point where, like, whenever I hear Portuguese, I just, like, get very confused. I, like, slowly, like, deteriorate, because I'm just like, is this Spanish? No, this isn't Spanish. Wait, is it Spanish? Like every sentence, just like every other sentence, I'm just like, this could be Spanish, but it's not.
You just, yeah. I mean, there's a reason why things like that get recognized as separate languages, because even though, like, from just a very basic observer standpoint, they seem kind of similar, they're very, very different. And a full minute behind on the dot, it seems. Wow.
Yeah.
And Flad taking a real quick death just at the beginning of Summit. Yeah, exactly, F-Bomb. It's kind of similar, but also not similar at all. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very similar to someone who doesn't speak either language, but if you speak one of them, you know that they're very different.
You'll have a bad time with the other, yeah.
Yeah, you'll just be like, part of me wants to learn Portuguese as well, just so I can be like, just so I can see the difference fully, but like, it almost seems like it would just cause a giant roadblock in my head.
Yep.
Hard to say. Hard to say which one of those languages is closer to the other.
Yeah, unfortunately,
I don't know them that well. Probably Portuguese is closer to Spanish.
And unfortunately, ooh, Vlad taking yet another death here. Just kind of starting to fall down a little bit. Senor, like I don't know whether to believe that you actually typed that or if that's some sort of Google translation, but I've been told to stop, so I will stop. I will not attempt to pronounce anything that is not English.
You see, right there, that's Portuguese, and I can understand what that says. But I also know I would never know how to pronounce that, because I can see it written out like that, and I'm like, I know, like, the base words and everything, and I know, like, the origins of stuff. It's my own sentence. What? Oh, you tried to spell it, and you failed at spelling it. Okay.
Yeah, just all sorts of emphasis on foreign language in the chat. Meanwhile,
well, you know, when we got a Brazilian person in the competition, it's bound to happen.
Yep. Just plug your nose at the end of each word and it'll sound pretty thin French. Wow.
Wow, that is not PC at all.
Well, look, I mean, any foreign language teacher will, like, I remember I once had a Spanish teacher that also taught French. Ooh, blackpear with that nice quick reaction to that Dust Bunny not quite being where he's used to. But, it's like this teacher said, like, anyone with really bad nasal problems will probably be just an absolute expert at French pronunciation-wise. You'd love to see me speak Mandarin or something? No, you wouldn't. It would be so bad.
How would you see someone speak a language?
Yeah, hm's in the chat over that. I doubt it's enabled, but Peepo G in the chat. I mean, I guess you could, like, lip read it, but...
Yeah, at this point, Fladervy.
Oh, go on. Sorry.
Yeah. There's a game going on. Fladervy gonna early 28 pace right now. It seems, as he is about to be approaching the bounding under the terrain screen.
Yep. And ooh, taking that upright dash instead of the right hand, dashing right into the spikes.
And failing on a second time there.
Senior Kitten's tired of the commentators booth, it seems, unfortunately. Yeah, I mean, really close race screen-wise. You know, the minute out of sync is actually, I think, really, really helping, since blackpear is actually I think about a screen ahead, give or take, with that minute of extra time. You know, maybe finding some sort of hidden speed strats.
This is big brain strats right now.
Yeah, making time run faster so that you can get farther in the game, even though your time will be worse. blackpear going to be making his way into 2500. It's weird, like the terminology that you have to use, because like obviously Flat is still ahead, yet it's like visually you're talking about blackpear looking ahead. And so now blackpear going to be going for the key as, ooh, what an interesting death from Flat there.
Yeah, attempted to go for a corner boost and kind of just kept flying.
Yep. All right, and so now we've got blackpear through those door skips, real nice. Just beautiful dashing technique from both of them through these sections.
You are reading this completely wrong. He is not ahead of PB pace at all.
Yeah, yeah, without even like comparing his time to PB time, I don't see how you're seeing that.
Like, even if we go back to his, even if we just say like we're comparing to his 2808, like he's still not ahead of that either.
Senior, it's because sorry, it's because we've done like manual synchronization on our end. And so even though like the streams aren't being played as they're coming in, plus in addition to that, Flat has because of those 2 buff drop fails had to spend more time in the menu.
Yeah, those are 26s. I don't. Yeah, this is looking to be somewhere around a mid 28.
You know, blackpear probably with a mid to high 29, maybe even a 30. No worries, dead cap. Yeah. If these last screens go well.
We got people in the chat slowly learning what a speedrun is. So you see there's a timer on the screen, and when that timer, you know, we wait until the timer stops at the end of the any percent route, and that's a speedrun. So blackpear is currently, technically at least RTA-wise, closer to the end, but in-game timer-wise, has played the game longer in the game than Fladervy has.
And that playing the game is what you're trying to minimize, is spending as little time moving Madeline as possible. Kind of unfortunate though that like the tape grab, if you watch the timer in the top corner, it's actually still counting down.
That's just because of it doesn't stop at the pause menu. It only stops on the actual chapter select.
Oh, okay. I actually didn't realize that. I thought that it paused on the pause menu. Huh.
Nope.
I don't know how I'd never actually noticed that. I mean, partially, Owen, but there are also categories where you're trying to do every single thing as quickly as possible, so... I mean, skips will naturally occur as part of that, but it's not just trying to skip over the entire game. Unless it's an RPG speedrun, then that's probably what you're trying to do.
It looks like Fladervy's not even going to be able to get that 28 now either. He's going to be getting a 29... Oh! 7? Yeah, 7. Meanwhile, blackpear are going to be getting a 29.53, so that is going to be a victory for Fladervy by about 40 seconds.
Yep, nice first little run. Few mistakes from Flat, of course, but overall pulling out a nice low 29. Honestly, a closer race than I would have thought, given the way it started. But Flat just kind of seemed a bit shaky, especially after those two Bubs drop fails. So um, maybe we'll end up seeing a much improved performance here, but also could be just kind of a bad set of runs for Flat after that just amazing 47.55. We'll just have to see. Kind of just the onus is in his hands right now. But nothing to be upset about whatsoever. I mean, pulling a low 29, especially winning these playoff matches to punch that ticket to pace, it's definitely something to be excited about still.
Yeah, and just by the way, it's just a customary thing for Fladervy. He does like to take a fairly long break compared to like other Celeste speedrunners of this game. So because it's Fladervy, we're gonna be taking probably around a break as
Yep.
opposed to like the couple minutes.
So, I mean, yeah, that first round, I mean, let's go ahead and kind of compare the stats since Flat is giving them to us on the screen. With his averages, those first three courses were really, really strong for him. City, I mean, you don't really expect major time loss. Both of them fitting right in line, City and Old Site, that is, with his average of 105 and 148. As we mentioned right at the end of Resort, that 420, nice little 7-second save over his average. But then after that is where things kind of started to get a little bit dicey. In particular, Temple should, on according to his average, take like a combined 339, but taking 40 total, or sorry, 4 total minutes through there.
Yeah. This is gonna be seem like a bit of a random question, but this is my favorite joke to make whenever Flat is here. So, what's your favorite soup brand?
It's my favorite soup brand.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm not a fan of soup like at all. I'd have to say like I guess like Marchon ramen. That's like since it says noodle soup on the package, I'll just call it a soup for this opportunity.
Right. Mine's Progresso.
And why is that? Oh, oh. Very very nice. Very
Thank you.
nice.
Thank you.
Look at that wrench time though. I mean, I didn't realize that his wrench time was also so good. It was really just Temple B where things seem to kind of fall apart. And I mean, when you look through his stats, it certainly like Temple A. Obviously, you don't really expect any deaths, but his deathless percent for Temple B 56.3. One of his lowest and lowest, especially when you're not considering resort with, demo dash that can obviously result in ruining that deathless streak, and then reflection and summit, which those deserve no explanation. They need no explanation rather for why that percentage would be so low. So I mean, overall, just if Vlad can kind of pull out the mentality that he had through these first 4 levels, we could see a really low 28, if not maybe another 27 this time with recording. It just kind of depends on how he's able to reset his mentality. But what about blackpear? I mean, what do you think going into his next match? What do you think he should be focusing on to try to get that advantage over Flat early and maybe even hold on to it for a while?
It's ultimately just gonna have to be consistency, because right now it's just really, as it always has been, like, now you gotta be able to keep yourself consistent so that you hope that if something messes up, at least you are where you are in your run, and so you actually are able to close that gap just from the mess ups of the other.
Yeah, consistency game always been a huge thing, really in any run, but especially with Celeste. And I mean, part of it is Black Bear is just generally using a lot of slower, safer strats in a lot of cases than what Flat is just naturally going for and has that practice at to be able to make it work. Um, and these guys readying up in chat real quick. Why these names 8490157? I could ask you the same. Why are you just using numbers? But yeah, as DetCap just responded, it's a little cheat prevention to verify you're not just replaying a video of an older run. You're actually starting a new file and messing around with that new file.
Yeah, it makes it a little bit harder to cheat. Because it is that name is seen at the beginning of every chapter. Right here on this post. See? There it is. Yeah.
Yeah. In the backroom Discord chat, they are told that name before each of these races. As
no,
Flat,
actually, they give a letter. You know, just send a letter in the mail. Like this.
Yeah.
This is
in some cases, if they end up like not being able to arrange the match until like the day before, they use smoke signals instead.
Right.
There's a dedicated network of smoke signalers throughout the U.S. that can carry a message along anywhere for a fee. It's kind of similar to Western Union, just a little bit more unreliable at times. Occasionally, the service gets interrupted by bears and such.
Right. So Fladervy is going to be unfortunately taking a death very early on though, so it's not going to be a huge deal. Could still actually get a 103 actually with this in mind, considering I know Fladervy is capable of 101.
Yeah. And I mean, with that early death, Black Bear actually going to be taking a early little advantage, just a couple of seconds as Flag gets out with a 135, and Black Bear with a 134, so a 1 second or so lead. Oh, sorry, 3 seconds or so. I guess Flat's timer must have run past the last time I looked at like it. How would you even signal that? The same way that you do it, yeah, or like with Morse code and such.
Just binary, probably, or yeah, Morse code has those, all those symbols. Those are just letters and numbers.
Sounds like a nightmare. Well, cheating is a bigger nightmare.
Just by the way, like Morse code is essentially a form of binary.
Yeah.
So.
Just with it has the letters positioned in such a way that like the most used should have the shortest codes, I believe.
Yeah.
So like that's why E is such a basic thing to type in Morse code.
Yeah, E is a dot, I believe.
Does T not do this? What do you mean this? I'm a little bit confused. If you're talking about like some movement in game, these screens go by so quickly that it's kind of hard to identify what you're talking about.
Yep. It looks like Blackbear is actually going to stay in the lead as well, considering Fladervy is going to have some mess ups here in just the beginning.
Now, wait a minute. I think that I just heard a commentator, kind of confusing the fruit name here. Did you just call him Blackberry?
No, I said Blackbear.
Oh, for whatever reason, it sounded like
Pretty sure
Blackberry. I mean, it's no huge deal. I mean, you know, blackberries are also a tasty fruit. I don't actually, I don't think I've seen a black pear. That sounds like a spoiled fruit.
Yeah, it's a fair point. I mean, it's fair. Oh, apparently I did say blackberry. Who knows?
Yep, clip it. It's proof. For up commentators, you know, trying to cover up their mistakes, but the VOD shows all. As blackpear going to be managing to come through, probably with that nice cheeky little 1.5 to maybe even 2-second lead coming out of the old site. And so, as we move into Resort, let's see how blackpear tries to keep a handle on this lead.
For the question that keeps getting asked, I'm in chat if anyone really tried to cheat. I know as of terms of Celeste, no one has tried to. I don't know about the other leagues. I can't necessarily speak for every thing that has happened for GSA.
Yeah, as far as I'm aware, it hasn't happened in GSA, but it's just like because of the historic thing that it has happened in speedrunning communities far and wide. Just about any speed game you can think of has an instance of splicing or cheating happening. So it's just a nice precaution to go ahead and have from the very inception of the league. So
yeah, it's just something that really just looking at speedrunning, you always see people like trying to always see what's the best way we can make it so that it is absolutely like without a doubt proof that you actually did this run.
Yeah, because there have been other professional organizations in the past that have been very lax on their standards, and we've seen what's happened to them, and what's been revealed is like, oh, these people that made an entire living off a legacy of having a bunch of records ended up just not actually doing any of that and just had a complete scam. And so it's we want to keep that above the board professionalism from the very beginning.
I mean, like, especially just because, like, yeah, this organization in general, like, was created by a bunch of SM64 runners, and that's where it's pretty prominent. So
yeah,
that I think that's like a significant reason as to why cheat prevention is like so prevalent in GSA is because it was created by a bunch of SM64 runners.
Yeah. So someone asking what splices are in chat. Long ago, whenever capture cards weren't really capable of, well, it wasn't the capture cards necessarily that were the problem, but like you didn't have enough space to actually store like full runs all at once. You couldn't like store a full run of say OOT Hundo on a VHS tape. You would do what were called segmented runs, where you would try to do individual segments as fast as you could, and then put it all together. You know, maybe a few different tapes together or whatever. Send them off to some magazine, whatever. And whenever single segments started becoming a bigger thing, there were some people that still would actually do segmented runs, but wouldn't really make it clear, or would actually try to pass it off as just one full single segment. One of the more infamous ones is a player known as TSA in the Ocarina of Time community. This was actually before the community really existed. He had like a 6-hour some odd any percent time, but it was eventually found that he had done some like honestly pretty bad splices. Like whenever he was leaving Gerudo training grounds going into the Haunted Wasteland, the music just completely stops for a second or two. And it's just stuff that like even basically watching should have caught it, or like where his menu was between pauses didn't make sense, other stuff like that. So in terms of like, a splice is still someone playing the game. It's not like them having a task play it for them, but it is still misleading with these guys that spend all of this time developing the consistency throughout an entire run, all just like back to back to back at once. Segmented runs have their place, but it's you need to be clear that they're segmented. Otherwise, you'll probably be encountering a splicing situation, if not like purposely doing one.
Right. It's like some of the like best stuff going on in like FMO and stuff is like always like finding like the BTT, the best theoretical time.
Yeah, and that's really the place I think that segment runs should have nowadays, is with what SMO is doing with BTT, where everyone is contributing segments to make the run just absolutely insanely optimized. Like, you see these guys fighting for just a few seconds into the 59 5x range RTA right now. The BTT is actually a 57-minute time at the moment. That is how crazy these guys get with single segment times and like going from one moon to another. That's insane.
Yeah, it's like always, you gotta be at this point looking for to find the best path. At this point is always like looking for, I have to be cutting off essentially a full second to consider a different moon.
Yeah, or even just like having just insanely optimized movement, shooting to get every single frame that you can. Like optimizing both like the mundane movement, like spin pounds, trying to get spin pounds as quickly as possible, optimizing your lines. Like one big thing is like rolling down slopes in that game, kind of similar to the way that like corner boosting and momentum preservation works in this game. You have to be particular about like how exactly you're rolling down a slope to build up the most speed possible on your way to another destination. And like also like timing your power rolls in order to again like maintain control of yourself down slopes, or like in some cases like on the moon you actually use a bounce that doesn't give you that much height to actually jump over a ledge. And you know, Deltap claiming that they don't want to jinx the situation, but doing exactly that by letting us know that Flad is ahead of PB pace at the moment. So
I mean, I feel like you almost lock in that jinx just by saying it.
I mean, yeah, true, but you know, I'm ultimately commentator, not superstitious, just a little bit stitious at the end of the day, as if that's not a old joke everyone's heard at least 7,000 times. But you know, it is worth saying that Flad didn't lose that PB potential until Temple last time, so we do still have the end of Ridge to go through before we really have any sort of chance to make more progress than on that last run. Yeah, I mean, I feel like the graph for number of times mentioned and amount jinxed is like it's not quite any sort of linear graph. Vlad with a double quick death. Can he? Okay, he's got the boost this time around. Only wasting just a handful of seconds, but you know, not what we want to see, especially going into what proved to be such a hard stage for him before. And so blackpear going to be going ahead and waiting for this platform as well. Nice little comfy auto scroller sections, just to slow down the pace a little bit.
Yeah.
And blackpear with the kind of interesting death there on that screen. Yeah, and to address in chat, like some people like, you know, we don't really need to focus on PB. Like, of course we don't. This is a race, not like world record attempts. But when you have these playoff matches, that it's no secret, Flat is the number 2 seed, blackpear the number 8 seed. There is a bit of a skill disparity, and so it's another thing to just talk about and mention because it does add to the excitement of the race as a whole, especially because like we've seen it in a lot of speed communities before that those big thresholds in a lot of cases are just huge mental blocks. So like the fact that Flat had just gotten a 27 right before this race unrecorded is a, like, if there was any time for him to get a 27 mid race, this would be it.
Right. I don't know if he's going to be able to get the opportunity today, but I know certainly that if he doesn't get it, in these races, he's probably gonna stream right after this and just like keep going for at least another hour or two.
Oh, almost definitely. It would be such a wasted opportunity not to, I feel like.
Yeah, but of course it's his choice as well. Like,
oh yeah, no.
None of us are gonna force him to do that.
Yeah, I mean, you can't exactly, you know, hop on a plane over to Brazil, find him, and then say, you know, you better get a 27. But we can say that is a really, really nice yeet to go ahead and go 2 for 2 on that nice little trick.
Yeah, Brow's going to be getting a slightly better time here on 5A.
I mean, I can certainly see the concern illuminization, but I mean, obviously, I'm not him, but I don't feel like ooh, blackpear with the unfortunate like half yeet, the yeet.
I'm sorry, yeah, sorry for the yeetant, but I was saying nice to Fladervy getting the 109 on the 5A. Managed to get a 111 last time around, so that's why I was like, he could do better. I knew he could do better.
And he has, so let's see, we're coming up on Bub's drop towards the start of this 5B. Got to go through some nice little tricky bubble movement real quick. And these boost platforms can be kind of finicky too. The way that they actually like jolt forward and then like gain the momentum as they move back to their original position. It's kind of a surprising little bit of tech.
Right.
First try Bub's drop though. Let's go.
Good. Okay, we in there, boys.
Yeah, we see he just saved
girls.
probably a good like 20, 25 seconds, maybe even 30 over that last run, just on that one trick alone. So certainly putting ourselves in much better alignment for at the very least like a low 28. And yeah, I mean, as a runner, especially at Flad's level, you have to expect in a race people, and I mean, just given the situation, I think you kind of have to expect the speculation about the pace. And I wouldn't think that it would make him very concerned. I mean, I feel like all of his focus right now is probably just expended on the game itself. And he is not in the call, so he isn't aware of anything the commentators are saying. Not that I feel like he would be upset by any of it.
Yeah,
aside
honestly,
from my just really bad Portuguese.
Probably a good point there. But in my mind, I feel like, yeah, Flad is just, he doesn't care too much about what we're saying. He just is looking to get the time that he knows he can get.
Just stellar progress through this 5B so far. Is he has got the 1.5 cycle. Let's go. Seeker Room is a go. Very nice little time save there on that honestly huge monka of a strat.
Yeah, that strategy is really cool to see.
Ever since I saw Teach first go for it, I was like, how is this possible?
Yeah.
Oh, having to take a reset late in this room, though. Unfortunate. Anytime you lose Theo like that, you just have to go ahead and take the death. And it feels like a little bit more of a slap in the face, I think, because you have to SD. Otherwise, it just takes so long for the crystal to fall and then the game to be like, oh, Theo's dead. You're dead. Goodbye. And then, okay, nice recovery there, picking up Theo from the bounce second time around. Unfortunate that the Seeker strat went so well, and blackpear going to go ahead and take multiple deaths there.
And going to be looking to get the entrance cycle here. Looking very good. Yeah, is going to be able to finish out of here at a 14-12 on that file timer.
It's certainly a very admirable time. Unfortunate on that death in the Seeker room. Blackpear having so much trouble with that Seeker pattern that looks like he's forcing himself to go for that 1.5 cycle boost.
Oh, and that's a bit odd, yeah. So the Seeker just flew right past him on that final block there, and had to just wait for the Seeker to come back in order to do the tricks there.
And just really, really, oh, he just cannot get himself back together. You know, we have Mario meltdowns. I think we can kind of either use like Celeste calamities or Madeline meltdowns, in this case. That's so much more. Yeah.
I mean, there's that, but there's also Celeste struggles.
True, true. But whatever the term is, certainly blackpear having that Madeline meltdown Celeste struggle, just all in a bundle right there. Easily 45, maybe I think an easy minute of a loss, honestly. Celeste spaghetti, yes. Vlad, though, I'm not even sure what he took that death on there at the beginning of Reflection.
Feather.
Of course.
Yeah, the feather section was just like kind of weird, to say the least.
Yeah, even though these guys are just so good, and And like, especially if you remember your feather movement casually, it's like seeing these guys do it so eloquently is like, oh man, they're just absolute masters. But even at this level, things can go wrong pretty significantly. And yes, Flat is both very far ahead visually and time-wise, since blackpear's timer is 25 or so seconds off. Or no, sorry, 15. Commentator cannot do maths. You know, and anyone that was watching a Pope Squidward stream last night, apparently Commentator also thinking that 1/2 times 1 equals 1.
Close enough.
Yeah, it works, right?
I mean, it depends on the sig fig.
Yeah, man, as long as you're not doing rocket surgery, I feel like you'll be okay.
Yeah. What about brain science?
I'll have to get back to you on that one. I need to do a little bit more studies as soon as I get my license back.
Yeah, the good old brain science license.
Yep. Nice movement so far through the bumper section, though. Flat recovering really, really nicely from that quick little feather mistake. And let's see what he can go ahead and do with Adam Boost coming up. You see the big hair coming up, so you know it's coming. Ooh, but a death on the dev intended shortcut there. Trying to take that dash just a bit too early, it actually looked like.
Yeah, it's being very cautious on that last part.
And nice little dashes through the water. Gonna be going ahead and messing around with this boost. Beautiful. Just eating right in there.
I do want to say, once you get back pretty consistent, it's just a matter of the narrow hallway on the next screen. Getting the momentum on off the Kevin block is fairly consistent. Like, I can get it every time pretty much. It's just the matter of like getting the right height on the jumps in the next screen.
Yeah. And I mean, Flat with a 90% rate as well, I'm sure he would agree with you on that.
Yeah, it's a generally pretty easy strat. It just takes him like a second to like actually understand what you're doing there, and then once you figure out that much, like you're gonna get it pretty much every time.
Yeah, it's one of those like kind of interesting quirks with the way physics works in this game, and like dashing and boosting off of moving objects preserves both that object's momentum and the new dash momentum. And it's just about like understanding how the speed addition works in this game. And I think like in a lot of very movement heavy games like Celeste, Mario, etc., like that's a really important thing to these tricks that look really flashy and do save a fair bit of time. They really get pretty trivial when you understand the movement mechanics behind them, as well as these guys do.
Right, and it does become like a point of just for that one specifically, it just becomes just completely lost my train of thought. Damn. Sucks because I had a good point there.
See, speaking of speed, has anyone here seen the new 8C TAS? I have not yet, but just having seen other TASs and the just insane momentum that they're able to chain up, then yeah, as Deckcap said, I'm betting it's absolutely bonkers. Very nice, drastic lead from Flat at the moment. See you around, Senor. Thank you so much for stopping by. Hope to see you here on GSA again at some point in the future. A nice gold movement here.
Yeah, Fladervy, unfortunately not going to be able to get a sub 20 on this run either. Chapter 6, and so that means it's not going to be able to get the sub 28 either, so. Bit unfortunate, but it's Oh,
But-
bye. Sorry. Goodbye.
It is worth mentioning though that this is a much better time than that last race, so probably gonna be able to swing a nice lower, if not mid 28 on this race. And it is also worth pointing out that this is only the first matchup between these two, and so Vlad does have at least 2 more races to go ahead and perform right after. So Vlad could certainly pull out that nice 27 that we're certainly hoping for in one of those next 2 races.
Yeah, certainly has the time to do it. You know, he's being given the opportunity. Oh, blackpear messing up in these final couple screens right now of the battle. It looks like our co-commentator doesn't understand how chat commands work.
Yeah, okay. The way that the mod tools show it, there is exclamation point permit, and then right beside that, a 1 second, 10 minute, 1 hour, etc. I thought that those times were associated with the permit command, not that those were timeout times.
No, you can't permit someone to send a link in chat. I don't think you have those permissions.
Yeah, it must be restricted just to the channel owner apparently.
Yeah, probably.
That's okay. It makes sense, like with a bigger channel like this, that some bots will come in sometimes. It's just unfortunate that it ends up filtering out the people wanting to post relevant links.
Yeah, honestly, the best option is just to either direct message the person you want to send the link to, or direct message it to us. And if we think it's a relevant thing, we'll just put it in the chat. One of the mods here, by using the kind of nondescript we there. So I'm just gonna make it very clear. I mean any of the mods. So
yeah, but anyway,
don't go crazy on it either. Obviously, don't spam our whispers or anything.
Yep. Now, let's see how Vlad is going to manage to finish out this second race. Certainly with the large advantage, and it's looking like Vlad's going to get that nice little hour or so break before his next matchup with blackpear.
I mean, I think that's just how scheduling works. I believe he's still, like, if he wants, if they want to, they could probably just bang him out right away, right after this. Like, they don't have to wait another hour.
Yeah, true. Alrighty, if Vlad going to be bounding under the terrain, and it's good on a first try. Nice little auto scroller skip. Just beautiful use of the wind here in Golden Ridge too. Really nice to see, like, especially from a casual player perspective, since you're really fighting that wind most of the time. And so you can kind of see the disparity, 1,000 meters between the two at the moment.
Yeah, with only like 30 seconds difference on the in-game timer.
Yeah, blackpear looking like he's going to go ahead and lose this first match of 3. Ooh, Flat having a bit of trouble getting up onto the screen for the key, but making it work.
Yeah. The setup for that screen, typically, like, the way that people do it is if you mess it up, you actually have to go back down and do the transition again. So, it's very common to see something like that happen. But it does mean that you're losing almost a full second, like, more than a second if you mess it up once.
And he's got 1 door skip and 2 for that nice little section right there. Going nice and quick up the summit at the moment.
Yes, won't be managing to get any sort of crazy time, but will be still getting a fairly good one. Honestly, the summit time in general actually might be very good. The finish time itself might not be amazing, but I'm looking at this right now, the summit might be like a really solid finish time, chapter-wise.
Yep. Yeah, what do you think his pace is? Are we still looking at a mid 28, or are we going to be looking at a high 28 here?
We're looking at a high 28.
So still an improvement on that last 29.07, hopefully.
Hopefully. It's still, like, potentially he could, if he messes up, like, too much, he could, like, get into a 29 again.
Nice little boost up there. Yeah, no, nick of time. Celeste is available for numerous platforms, including PC, and that is the platform of choice for speedrunning this game. It's not necessary. Like, I think maybe the loads are a bit faster on occasion, but obviously the timer doesn't really take that into consideration. The biggest thing is a lot of players do prefer the keyboard controls, since you can, I believe, like, map each of the, like, dashing and jumping functions to other buttons. And the ability to use the arrow keys, a lot of players really, really like. Although it's worth noting, Teach does do all of his play on a controller. I think nowadays more so a DualShock controller or the SCUF controller that takes the DualShock layout. But the bigger thing is, for practice, the debug mode that is only available naturally on PC is very, very beneficial, because you're able to, like, start over and practice individual rooms. The menu is very, very efficient to use. It's just really, really nice. And so, yeah, for most players, the control scheme on PC is enough to draw them that and the efficient practice. Interestingly, though, you can actually have the debug mode on Switch, but it requires modifying the save file, which isn't within the scope of normal users to do.
And Fladervy going to be finishing out here. Me partially eating my words, I'm getting a mid 28.
Or at least could, if it weren't for those double deaths on interesting spike positions. Is he okay? He's able to jump his way barely up on the top of that corner and getting his dash back. So Flad must have heard that you were going to be wrong, and so goes ahead and converts that mid to a high 28.
Well,
No, Switch isn't banned at all. Switch isn't banned at all. It's just it doesn't make sense to use. And so Flad taking this first match. blackpear, meanwhile, going to be having to settle for a higher 30, maybe even a 31 on the second race. And as blackpear is going to go ahead and finish out this race with a hopefully 31-minute time, we will be taking a short break at the very least before starting up that next set of races to kick off match 2. And so I will actually be right back real fast. I'm going to go ahead and grab some water to be able to commentate that much better for all of you. And we back. Very quick water grab.
I mean, I can still hang around for the next set. Just by the way.
No.
Like, the reason why I just didn't put myself on the schedule was because of me scared of how late it was gonna go. But it's up to the runners, really.
Yep. And we do have Evan is as well volunteering for that second set. Should still, or Espel. What am I saying? Evan is what even? Espel. Jeez, I so bad with names apparently.
There isn't, just by the way in chat, there isn't exactly 100% route. There is no 100% category for this game, really. There's an all red berries category. There's an hearts category.
Yeah.
And neither of those would be changed by the addition of Chapter 9.
Just a real quick update. It seems that the guys are going to go ahead and take the full half hour or plus break. Pear seems to be fine with continuing, but Flad looks like he's already kind of gone AFK for a sec. So it does look like we're going to be going ahead and moving back to the nice, smooth, lo-fi intermission until those next 2 races. So don't go anywhere just yet. At 9 p.m. CST, the next set of races between Flad and blackpear will be starting. I am arranged to commentate those as well as Espel. Wait, not exactly sure what I said. 9 p.m. EST. That's what I thought I said, but in case that is not what I said, 9 p.m. EST, Eastern Standard Time, the one that the east side of the United States uses. You know, that time. I'm getting the okay sign from the booth, so apparently I did say it correctly this time. Eastern Standard. Just keep that in mind. 45 minutes. I mean, come on now. It's if you're here 40 minutes from now, you will see that race. To state it the least confusing way possible. But if you can't stick around for that, thanks so much for watching this set. Flad will be taking match 1 of the best of 3. So already one step closer to securing his spot at the semifinals at pace. And so, yeah, after this intermission, we will be continuing with match 2, where Flad could be actually punching his ticket tonight. So don't want to miss that. And in case you have to, Come back tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard. We've got Toast Rider versus Cheese. That is match 2. Match 1 was already just completely on fire. It was an insanely close match in both of those races. Cheese managing to pull out the 2-0 win, but we'll see if he's capable of doing that again. But if Celeste is your main jam, then we've got that action for you. Malay versus M Sushi at 5 p.m. EST. That is the second time I believe that they're facing each other. So again, that'll be a really, really nice, exciting one. And finally, 7 p.m. Viro versus Ouija and 70 Star. So yeah, definitely. If you can't stick around for that last matchup between these two tonight, come back tomorrow. And one last time, thank you so much for coming around. We're gonna go ahead and move into intermission. Peace, everyone.